Let's see if I can make this work. All right. Can people hear me? All right, Marge, will you raise your hand a moment? This lady in the blue does have the ability to get questions from the audience. If you have a question which has not previously been submitted, raise your hand, or if you've got it written down on a piece of paper, and there's a guy behind you, all right. And Marge will pick it up and get it to me if it's legit. I will tell you that I will not tonight ask any questions that cannot be answered by all four candidates. So if the question comes to, let us say hypothetically, Mr. Gomes, why did you do X? Forget it. All right. These questions have got to be so you can compare the four men who are up here. The rules are very simple. Each candidate will get 2 minutes to answer each question and up to 30 seconds to extend or rebut after everybody has gone through. And there have been some questions that were previously submitted. We are going to start the first question by luck of the draw with Mr. Gomes. And it is, what is the single most important issue facing Bridgeport today, and how would you resolve it?
Well, first of all, I want to say First of all, am I heard? Hello?
That's right.
There you go. Okay. First of all, I want to say thank you for the opportunity to speak with you and reach directly to the voters of Bridgeport. The fundamental problem that we have in Bridgeport is trust and lack of hands-on leadership. Upon embarking on this campaign trail back in December, we knew the issues that faced us. As a resident of Bridgeport, as someone who grew up here, as someone who endured the differences, the lack of resources or implementation, but more importantly, someone that knew the resources that we have in the city and the lack of how it's been implemented, I confronted the issues hands-on and continually from the voters is trust. They want someone they could trust, someone that could resemble what's going on in their community, but someone that's been there from the get-go, not someone who showed up recently or someone who creates a persona that I will handle your issues during election time only. I want to create a administration that's hands-on, that's constructed by people of Bridgeport that live the consequences. And together, with the knowledge that I feel that we would bring to the table, we will put forth a strategy and implement a vision that Bridgeport needs. I'm looking at you, I'm doing good. But since this campaign, we embarked on 4 pillars. First and foremost, it's a government that's fair and equitable. It's about economic development. It's about public safety. But as we unite here today, it's about education. Creating education that's second to none. It's creating education with a partnership with the Board of Education that makes sure that every student in Bridgeport and every resident has the resources necessary so we can carry forth a mission to make a Bridgeport reflective of all of us. Thank you.
Same question, Mr. Hertz.
Could you repeat the question, please?
Certainly. What is the single most important issue facing Bridgeport today, and how would you resolve it?
I think sorry, do I have it on? Can you hear me? Excellent. I think the single most important issue is that we've been a one-party town for so long that we don't have any, how should we say, foil to the ideas that run this place. It's been a blue city for a long time, and we have seen in America many blue city problems. We have, 23% poverty rate in the city. We have 70-something% graduating high school, 19% with reading proficiency. That's 1 in 5 can read well, 1 in 10 can do math well. And we're in the richest country in the world, and we're in the richest area of the richest country. And unfortunately, our city doesn't represent that. What's the biggest problem? My campaign is about one thing, and I think it relates to everything else, is that every boy should have a father, or a solid male referent in their life. We need that. We have in the last 50 years, we've doubled the number of children in single family homes. 1 in 4 people in Connecticut is in a single family, is a single mother, a single parent home, and we know that correlates with poor results in schools, poor results in life, more incarceration rate. So I think if we have a solid family structure, it's what's given our country what we are, based on Judeo-Christian values, not the flavor of the day. I think will give us motion forward. And that's what we need. We need to transform the city and be the industrial powerhouse we once were. And I think family is the foundation of all of that. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Daniels.
Yes, thank you. Good evening, everyone. And thank you again to the Bridgeport Public Education Fund, the Women Village, and all those are here. When I think about our biggest fundamental issue, it's the city's reputation. This reputation has caused our city to lose missed opportunities, sound development, and those that really want to come into our city. I think reputation is critical. This reputation distracts the real issues that are happening in our city. Our schools need to be stronger. We need to ensure that people can afford to live in Bridgeport and stay in Bridgeport. We need to make sure that our police department has the resources it needs to keep us safe. And most importantly, we need to have jobs and good economic development. But with anything, if anyone knows that when you have a bad reputation, people are hesitant, people are unsure if they want to connect and work with you. So I really believe that our reputation, I travel across the country, I travel across the region, and what I'm most embarrassed is that people don't think this is a great city. This is a great city. We are a diverse culture, we have great resources, we have great infrastructure, but our reputation keeps getting in the way, which is why we are in this situation today. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Ganem.
Well, thank you. And I don't see just myself, but I think you know I'm Mayor Joe Ganem, and I'm pleasure and honor joining you as your mayor and thanking the Bridgeport Education Fund, the League of Women Voters, and everyone who's come out to kind of get us all on stage and maybe talk about things that are critically important for November 7th, this Tuesday. That's the general election in the city of Bridgeport. I hope we won't lose sight of that. As far as what's most important, I grapple with that every morning as mayor. You know, and to this group, it'd be remiss not to say education. And to be able to at least put that in context, the backdrop of the fiscal stability that we have now in the city of Bridgeport, which is not always taken for granted. Yesterday, we were marked again with an A+ rating from Wall Street. We've announced modest surpluses in the way we've been able to have the financial stability to add 100 more police officers and have a new chief in the area of public safety. And that's a priority, that fiscal stability that allows us to do that and to partner even stronger with the Board of Education and try and help what is a challenge. David made some good points about the challenges of Bridgeport, an urban setting and a rich state. But this is not a story that's told only in Bridgeport. Every urban setting, mayors that I work with across the country, we fight every day to figure out how we can support and produce in the area of education, the best quality education that we can. Some innovation, some just basic, trying to make sure that we have the right proportions, student-teacher ratios in our classrooms, that we've created the opportunity for young people to move on if they want to graduate, and then have the opportunity to go on for an opportunity of higher education. So the one thing I want to leave on that topic, where we can put something in place above and beyond what we have, and I want to thank those that have been supporters and advocates of it here, is the Bridgeport Promise program. A program that we've seen in other cities and towns across Connecticut that allows financial support for Bridgeport students based on merit and need to have the opportunity they wouldn't otherwise have to go on to higher education. So in the context of all of those, I'd be remiss not to acknowledge the future. The most important thing to our future is the education of our children. Thank you so
Okay,
much.
thank you. That is time. Does anybody wish to rebut or extend on this question?
I
All right,
would.
next question. Oh, yes, Mr. Gomes, go ahead. 30 seconds.
Am I rebuttal?
You can, anything you want to say
Well-
for 30 seconds.
For 30 seconds, I would just say that when we talk about the importance of education, Let's prioritize correctly. Let's build a relationship from city council to the Board of Education, to the supervisor, to the superintendent. Let's talk about attending the Board of Education continually. Let's talk about providing the gap of raises for 5 million, where the city only provides 2.5 million. And let's talk about giving education the minimum required by the state.
Okay, anything further, rebuttal or extension?
Oh, I'd
All right.
love, well,
All right,
no,
Mr.
we'll
Hertz?
save it for later.
Save it? All right. The next question goes to Mr. Hertz first anyhow. The downtown core and many of the city's neighborhoods have been hampered and compromised due to lower tax revenues and the loss of manufacturing jobs. If elected, how do you plan to balance the need for adequate school funding with responsible fiscal management in Bridgeport?
Well, yeah, you make a good point, which is that we have very little manufacturing here, and we're in a place that is rich with manufacturing. Milford, right up the road here, brings in more people during the day than they have lived there. People are moving out of Bridgeport, or I think the average commute is 29 minutes away from here in order to find meaningful work. So partnerships with manufacturing, partnerships with high-value jobs. I know certain people have suggested that the arts are a great way to make this area work. I think the arts are the effect of a strong economy. They are not the basis of a strong economy. I guess you were asking about how do we make the budget work? Well, one way is to eliminate waste in the budget. Other countries seem to do far better, and other places seem to do far better on far less money. We can structure education so it actually serves our children instead of so that it serves we're based on a system from the Prussians from 160 years ago. We put them in cells and we ring the bells, and if you are familiar with it, some people might be. That's how we manage prisons. We shouldn't be managing our kids the way we manage our prisons. And I've gone off, you've asked about money. Money is about bringing in businesses with high-value jobs and training our people to be able to do those jobs. And that's all there is to it.
Mr. Daniels?
Can you repeat the question for me again?
Yes. The downtown core and many of the city's neighborhoods have been hampered and compromised due to lower tax revenues and the loss of manufacturing jobs. If elected, how do you plan to balance the need for adequate school funding with responsible fiscal management in Bridgeport?
Great, thank you. First, let me say, I just want to commend the teachers, the administration, and staff who teach over 19,000 children each and every day. I can only imagine the challenges they have every day. I'm a proud licensed clinical social worker, so I understand. And I'm also joined by my two beautiful children who are to my left, who attend Bridgeport Public Schools. So as your mayor, I will personally attempt to make real sound investments to ensure that our schools are strong and they have the resources that are needed. You know, we often talk about, the key of leadership. And I work in the city of Norwalk, and one thing that we do is we have a working relationship with the superintendent's office. It doesn't mean that we will get along for everything, but as chief elected official, they're my children too. And so it's important to have a strong relationship with the superintendent's office, with the Board of Education and City Council. And we should have constant conversation throughout the year, because it shouldn't be this win or lose or adversarial relationship. We talk about our children, our future, and it's time to make sound investments. Now, when we talk about businesses, that's the reputation issue that I spoke to. You know, there's this reluctance of coming into our city. But as your mayor, I will be that relentless advocate and champion to encourage businesses to come into our city and let them know we will be fair and transparent. Because when I talk to business developers, they're always saying, with Lamont, when I do business with Bridgeport, there's always these shady deals happening. And so my administration will be open and honest each and every day so people can trust the administration and know that when they come to Bridgeport, they will be treated fairly.
All right, Mr. Ganem?
Thank you so much. Yeah, the downtown, I dare say that it's become dotted more with new restaurants and businesses opening up, and I think that's a very positive thing. And part of the result is that is certainly spirit of entrepreneurialism and hopefully working through what I think are positive growing pains for our downtown, trying to understand some of the parking challenges and other issues. That's the kind of problem, if dealt with effectively and efficiently, that a city wants to have. And part of it is, whether you agree, some candidates or individuals agree or disagree, as a result of we being and have been able to claim the entertainment, the name and dubbed the entertainment capital, because we have so many people coming in and spending money in our city. So I think it is a very positive thing, recognizing as well that we still have a strong manufacturing base in this city. The reference to the superintendent and the working relationship, I don't want to even just agree. I want to build on what was said here, that is an incredibly important relationship, and that is an incredibly important position of leadership in the city of Bridgeport and our public school system right now. And I think, give credit to those that are due. I think the bell's being rung, so to speak, in a positive way by the new superintendent. I think she's met and exceeded expectations, has instilled not only positive morale, but leadership that the school district needs, and I think is accepting in all the right ways. And I do want to mention that was here too, all those that work in the schools, whether they're teachers, administrators, or teachers' aides, underworked, I should say underpaid, overworked, and I'm glad to see that contracts going in place to bring some level of parity to teachers' salaries in Bridgeport. That's been one of the biggest challenges. We need to make sure in every way that we can on a local level, we've made a bigger commitment, and now the state's making a bigger commitment of funding to Bridgeport school system. It's not enough, it's never enough, but it's more than we've had, and we'll continue to make sure that we get what we hope to be as close to our fair share as we can from the state of Connecticut in order to continue to fund what's been and continues to be an underfunded district, and people running it who do an extraordinary job with very little in the way of resources. And so my appreciation to you, all that are involved, and of course the Bridgeport Education Fund as well for being here as well.
Okay, Mr. Gomes.
Thank you. Thank you. First of all, I think we need to stop talking very abstract. Let's talk concrete. Our students, our children are left behind. Under my administration, I will tell you the first 45 days, I will reallocate $1.5 million to balance the $4 million that the Board of Education had requested. At the same time, when you talk about fiscal responsibility, I will not have a budget that has increased by 10% or $7.7 million for the last 7 years. When we talk about revenue, I will make revenue-driven department to be self-efficient, meaning that they will operate on their own. Each mill rate represents $5.7 million for us as taxpayers, and yet we're not reallocating the resources accordingly. That we have too many duplications in our city. We have too many wasteful spending. At the same time, we got to stop playing gimmicks when we talk about the budget. We cannot talk about Harding High School or the sales of the airport, things that are not physical at hand at that time. We need to be fiscally responsible. We cannot afford to let union contracts elapse 2-3 years without negotiation, and then during election year, put a contract on the table and saying we're doing a great job. No, we're not. We still have to pay the allowance or the budget money that were allocated 1-2 years. We have to be responsible. We have 12 unions in the city. We have to sit around the table consistently and constant and talk about the issues that we're confronting and how we're going to fix it. And we have to talk about, when we talk about education, we cannot continue to give education less than what they deserve. Currently, the raises in the Board of Education is about $5 million, and yet the city only gives it $2.5 million. So how do we justify that? How do we look at the children and say you're getting quality education? I went to the school. I know what we're suffering from. And we have to be real responsible. We cannot continue to talk rhetorics. We need to act. And that's why on November 7th, we need a change.
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you. The audience is requested to please keep it down. Are there any people? Yes, rebuttal, Mr. Hertz?
Not so much a rebuttal as a comment. I noticed that the one stakeholder that we haven't mentioned so far is the parents. We keep talking about the relation between the city council and the mayor's office and the Board of Education until we bring the parents into this and we take care of the parents and we listen to them, nothing's going to change. We need to let the parents be the experts for parenting their children, and we need to support the things that they need. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Anything further from any of the other candidates? All right, the next question goes to Mr. Daniels first. If elected, How will you address concerns related to school climate and security? And what steps will you take to prioritize the safety and well-being of teachers and students?
Yes. So definitely most important, we want our children and our teachers and staff to be in a safe learning environment. I think it's important, I'm a collaborator and I'm a partner. And it's important to, like Mr. Hertz has said, and I'm a strong advocate for community and parent voice. And so any decision that I make as mayor has to include community voice, and I want to hear what they have to say. Because I understand every decision that is made in the mayor's office impacts Bridgeporters every day. So we do need to look at that. I know there's been a lot of discussion around school resource officers, whether police should be in the building and not in the building. But I want to hear from the parents. How do they feel? What do they believe? And I also want to hear from the teachers' administration. But more importantly, we just need leadership to speak up and speak loud that these are very, very important issues, and we need to respond in a thoughtful way, in a meaningful way. Not all schools need different type of resources, but we also recognize there are schools that do. But with not one cookie, one size fits all. I think my daughter, my daughter goes to Geraldine Johnson, and I remember people saying, well, that's one of the better schools. Well, that wasn't a compliment for me, because I want every neighborhood school to be a good school for their children. And that's just not happening. So we need to look at what schools are doing well, how do we enhance and strengthen that, and then provide the supports, whether it's safety or whatever, how we need to do for school climate to support the schools. But more importantly, we just need a mayor to stand up and work with the superintendent and the Board of Ed and encourage parents to speak up and speak loud. And I will have an open door policy to do that.
Thank you.
All right, Mr. Gannon?
Thank you so much. Yes, I agree on the parents. But school security, I think, falls on us. And I dare say, I always hesitate to make these broad statements because we're lucky. They've done a heck of a job, and I think we've had security. We've seen things happen in other places over history recently around the country in schools where safety can be breached. And it is a top priority and needs to continue to be. You need to know when your child gets on the bus or gets dropped off to school that they're walking into a safe environment, as safe as you'd like it to be, as safe as your home. And that is critical. It's fundamental for a conducive learning atmosphere as well. I was in 66 Magnet yesterday. I was in prep school last week, and I can going around to the schools, and I've been very impressed with what's happening, the challenges that are being faced, met every day, and the quality that I've seen in the commitment of our educators, from every classroom to the magnet schools, dealing also with special ed and all the challenges that we have. So it remains a top priority, as is public safety throughout the city. I think our chief of police has demonstrated that. I've supported him on the hiring of the next 100 officers, certainly with the best training that we can provide in the areas of de-escalation and sensitivity training to make sure the officers that end up on the street, the security SROs, et cetera, all have the best training they possibly could to provide the best quality we could for safety for all of us, and in this instance, as we're talking about. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Gomes?
Sit down. While we keep talking about public safety, please understand that the current budget puts a reduction of about 125 officers past previous budgets, from 450 to 286. We already have a shortfall of officers going back to 2017 to this date because we knew, or there was information as far as their retirement. There was lack of preparation. When we talk about that sense as far as reallocating or looking at the SROs, we need to make sure that those data are correct and the approach is tactical and it makes sense to the community and the environment. Without a doubt, I agree that the parent involvement is key, but the question is, it begins at the top. You need a mayor that really attends the Board of Education meeting, that's engaged. I know we talked about City Council and the Board of Education members, but that's pivotal. There needs to be a consistent relationship, not only in April, March, when the budget's created, but on a monthly basis, so we can understand the goods and the bads and how do we fix it. And that goes into the parents' involvement, the Parents Association. talking with them on a regular basis to understand what is the issues, not only from a curriculum standpoint in the school, but also to understand the trauma or the mental trauma that the kids are going through that's affecting. If you look at that absenteeism rate and other things that's impacting the rate. City of Bridgeport has 22% below the standard graduation rate and other metrics that you have mentioned. But it begins also with funding. We need to fund appropriately and accordingly. We need to work with Hartford in order to create a relationship. I will be that mayor. I will be that mayor that will walk the classroom. I want to know what my kids are eating, what your kids are eating, all the way to the nutrition center. And that is hands with a partnership with the superintendent. Right now, we have an opportunity more than ever. We have a new superintendent, a new mayor that would come in, would put together a vision that would be incredible to achieve the standards that we so solely deserve here in Bridgeport, second to none. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Hertz?
So I'm going to start with the biggest thing we can do to create a climate of security and to create a good school climate is to actually properly socialize our children. We know that if children don't have the right influences by the right age, if they don't know how to get along with their peers by the time they're 4 years old, we're going to have problems with them through the end of their education. I think the most important thing for a child is a child needs to have, and this is just me being a dad here, child needs to have a lot of freedom inside very clearly defined limits. I think we spend too much time confusing our children in the modern age. We tell them that there's a climate crisis, there are other things. Children should be children, they should have a childhood, they should be playing, they shouldn't be made to feel like the world is collapsing around them. And I think, unfortunately, we do a little bit too much of that to our children today. I think the other big thing we can do for our kids is actually get them to plan, to look at their future. Most places don't just stop and plan and say, what is the world going to look like if you do things right? What is it going to look like if you don't? Orient people towards owning their own future. In terms of security, physical security, I spent a lot of time in Israel. I was a teacher in Israel for a while, and I remember after one of the shootings at the Merkaz Rav Yeshiva at the next parent-teacher meeting, the principal said, if you have them, bring them to school. How should we say, I'm a strong Second Amendment kind of guy. I think if we make our schools soft targets, then you are actually inviting those to be the places where tragedy is going to occur. So that's what I say about security. Thank you.
Okay. Is there anyone who wishes to extend a rebut on this one? All right, the next question goes to Mr. Ganem. It's also about the schools. And I should ask the audience, if anyone else has any questions, please get them submitted now. Because I promised these guys that they can go home at a reasonable hour, or to the next job, whichever. This one goes to Mr. Ganem first. It's also about the schools. Can Bridgeport update or install new or better HVAC systems in every school? If not, which schools, if any, should get priority?
No, absolutely. And you don't think about it in the middle of the winter, but there are days where not only does it impede ability to learn and be comfortable, but it's just not right. Our commitment continues to be with that, but also with the rebuilding of entirely new schools. We just secured $129 million for a new Bassett High School that'll reflect in many ways the almost $130 million in the new Harding High School and a rebuilding of Central High School. 70-something, 73, I think, I'd say something, but above $70 million for a new Winthrop School, and a variety of funds for continued capital improvements, and that is and should be one of them. As we've gone through and looked at the list of priorities, we go down, and those that we can afford to do on our own, but many of these are eligible for, and especially those that I've mentioned, are the receipt of funds by the state. We pay a proportional share, but less so than we would if we didn't reach out to the state police. So absolutely, I think the structures, the physicals, when you go into the new Harding, and you go in there as a student, as a teacher, as a principal, you walk around and you feel like you're in a place, and I believe it is, as good as a physical structure of a school of anywhere in the state. It's state of the art. And those students that come from the rich affluent communities come many times to Harding High School to utilize our sports fields and are in awe of the facility we have. That's the model that we want to replicate at Bassick. That's the model we want to replicate at Winthrop. And we want to include, as you said, whether it's air conditioning or other needs in a number of the schools, capital needs as well. I think they're critically important. Thank you for the question.
Okay, Mr. Gomes, same question?
In the last 15 years or so, over $1 billion have been constructed in new schools in the city of Bridgeport. And yet we build from the outside and not in out. These new facilities, some of them as recent as this year, I believe, such as Columbus School that was upgraded, and a couple other schools are looking for more money to upgrade the HVAC system. The question is why? Personally, I think it's poor preparation, it's poor hands-on, it's a lack of relationship between the Board of Ed and City Hall. Without a doubt, under my administration, we will look for funding to support those infrastructure. And the way I would do it, currently we have 2 grant writers and 1 supervisor in the city of Bridgeport. My plan is to have a minimum of 12 grant writers and 3 supervisors. So then we can allocate and go after funds accordingly to put it back in Bridgeport where it belongs. Thank you.
Mr. Hertz?
Would you repeat the question, please?
Yes. Can Bridgeport update or install new HVAC systems in every school? If not, which schools, if any, should get priority?
So, truth is, I don't know the detail of the schools in Bridgeport well enough to answer that intelligently on a school-by-school basis. But I do know that, you know, HVAC systems can cost a heck of a lot. If we're talking about air conditioning schools for a few hot days a year, sometimes it makes sense to just have a day off from school. It's a lot cheaper than spending tens of millions of dollars to be able to air condition spaces that typically don't need it. Inadequate heating is another thing. The mayor's correct. We absolutely need that. We can't have people freezing in the winter. But I think we spoke about school budgeting altogether, and I think part of what we need to do is give people choice. I don't need to be spending so much money on schools. I want to be spending the money on our students. And if our students want to go to other schools, if we want to look at other school models, as I said before, our model is, you know, 160, 170-year-old Prussian model. There are other models of education that work very well for people. There's wonder schools and Montessori-type education and democratic schools and discovery centers and all sorts of other things you can do than building a conventional school, which gives us, how should we say, conventional results. So let's innovate a little bit. Let's play and see what we can do to create better learning environments for everyone. And it doesn't always have to be another 70 or 80 or $100 million building. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Daniels?
Yes. I mean, I definitely agree that we need to figure this out. As a parent, when we get the call that the school is closing because it's hot, you know, now parents have to figure out, what do we do? Do I stay home? I mean, my wife is an average working family, so we do need to commit. And you know, and I agree with Mr. Gomes. You know, we need to look at the budget. And in my administration, we just did it in Norwalk. Mayor Rowland did a forensic audit looking at both the city budget and the Board of Education's budget to look at waste. And they even called up some of my things in my department. But that was a good thing, you know, having us independent eyes looking at the budget. So that's something I'm committed to doing. But more importantly, we need our kids to be in school every day. When I go drop my daughter off, there's this metric that says, 1 day of school, what's the impact? And so hot schools should not be a reason why our kids in school. So we need to figure it out. find the resources, just really dig deep to figure out how can we ensure that the systems that need to be done in our school system are there so our kids can stay in school. And that just means digging hard, making commitments, working with all stakeholders to figure this out. I don't think it's difficult. It's just having leadership that's identifying this will be a priority, so let's figure it out. And then we can just assess what schools, and I think that's a metric we can talk to engineers and facilities. That's not my wheelhouse, but most certainly bringing the right stakeholders to assess what should be prioritized. Thank you.
All right, is there anything further on this?
Could I? Yeah, it's just in the same way. I just want to put it into context of a couple of things. One is, it's not just air conditioning. I don't want people to think this is a comfort issue. It's also air quality. And having lived, as we all have, through COVID, and learning is kind of maybe a little too late on each aspects of what indoor quality air is. When we have our children, certainly in the developmental stages, both physically and mentally, not only is it the awareness that we want, but it's the overall health. As we build these new schools, not only do we want to make the commitment to air quality, whether it's to an education system, we also want to make them LEED buildings where they're environmentally acceptable in the best of ways. And then look at, as we do, you talked about all the schools. I don't think we should discount or avoid any one of them as we make the improvements.
Yes, so that on rebuttal, that's it, I'm afraid.
Yeah, thank you, I'm sorry.
Anybody else on rebuttal? Yes, sir, Mr. Gomes.
I really want to emphasize that we've had a lost opportunity. The city received millions of dollars in COVID money. Misallocation of some of these fundings, not misappropriation, but put it in certain places that lacks priority. Maybe that should have been the place where we put it, where we're talking about today as far as the infrastructure improvement of certain these schools. We have several new schools that have been built. Under my administration, with the Board of Education, is looking at those schools and looking at the funds that will come through the grants. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anything else on this question?
Yeah, I think that's a little bit of a misstatement.
No, I'm sorry, you've used your
Okay.
rebuttal.
Okay.
Use your rebuttal, sir. All right, the next question goes to Mr. Gomes first. We're now definitely getting into audience questions. Remington Woods is over 400 acres of forest on the Bridgeport-Stratford boundary. Senator Blumenthal and many Bridgeporters want it to be a national wildlife preserve. Do you support this idea? Why or why not?
I support that idea. We have a lot more other developments that we need to do in other territory and places of Bridgeport, or which are not happening. The city has 183 properties which are abandoned or somewhat blighted, and it's causing a lack of revenue for the city. I could go right there on Lexington Avenue. You could go on East Side. So there's plenty of properties that we could produce for development and put it back on the tax roll. And also, when you talk about Remington Woods, you have to understand the impact on any development that would happen there and the consequences on the neighborhoods. I walk some of those streets and knocking on doors. There are a lot of flood basement in certain areas that trees are already been cut. We lack the structure and the knowledge to know what should be done or what had been done and the detriment that some of those neighbors are paying, right? The consequences they're paying. They're mold in their basement. They have a complaint. Actually, I was with Mr. Ricky when one of the stories was done. And we have pictures. We have flooding across the city. And we cannot add more to it, especially during heavy downpour, because our infrastructure, our sewer lines cannot handle it. We have other priorities that we need to put, and we need to leave that property alone for now. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Hurd, same question.
So I am going to admit here, I'm one of the newer people in town. Remington Woods isn't one of those big areas that I know much about. So, but I agree that we have a whole downtown here that is full of empty lots that can be, we've got a whole downtown here that is full of empty lots. We've got one after another after another. I don't see any reason to, burn our natural resources when we have development opportunities galore here. So, like I said, don't know enough about it, so I'll yield the rest of my time.
I'll take it. I do support Senator Blumenthal's letter. I actually read it. I have a copy of it myself. And like what has been said, I think, Bridgeport is a small city. I think we're 16 square miles, very dense. We have great infrastructure, great pieces of land all across the city. I think we just need to aggressively look at how can we focus on these areas and let's just get our city back up and running and shine. And so to the question, I most certainly support that. In my administration, my focus is to how to make it a place where animals can really thrive there. My daughter loves animals. And so I think she'll be mad if daddy would want to take them from their habitat. So I support and endorse the letter that he wrote.
All right, Mr. Ganem.
Thank you. No, I think the idea is good, and a little bit of the history on Remington Woods, that's been one of the concepts. The other one, with the Seaview Avenue corridor and so on, was to be an industrial park, and there's certainly between Bridgeport and Stratford, enough area there to, I think, indulge all these, what I think are wonderful ideas. First thing is to get Remington, the polluter there, to get the munitions out so that it could be safe, and that's a big push. We also have other industrial, or this is not industrial now, but other locations in the city that I think create opportunities as well. Remington, you say Remington Woods, I say Remington Arms. I say a blighted property that we've just cleared now and retained the shot tower for historic purposes, but got rid of the blight right across from a school, dilapidated, almost a block of dilapidated property in one of the most densely populated sections of the city, the east side. We've just garnered and been given the go-ahead on $20 million to remove what's the old power plant now, the last coal-burning plant in the state of Connecticut, which has been decommissioned over the last number of years, to tear that down and create the best waterfront opportunity for development. Whatever we, meaning the city of Bridgeport and the state and others, decide it should be, we can help live out that as part of Bridgeport's future of removing an old industrial obsolete site and creating what could be the next most exciting thing that could happen, not only in Bridgeport, but I say along the Connecticut and waterfront in total. So yes, that's a great opportunity. You gotta, we have to take it with Bridgeport's the Park City. So where we can see opportunities in a densely populated, very small geographic location, the city of Bridgeport, the largest city in the state of Connecticut, albeit only 17 square miles. We look at those opportunities, see how we've capitalized on things like Seaside Park and Beardsley Park, and the list goes on, and Washington Park. So I do support it, but I support it with the opportunities to do other things and to keep the momentum going on the major projects that are happening in the city now that are closer to and directly impact people in our neighborhoods that I care so much about. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any rebuttal or extension on this one? As mayor, would you try to bring a casino to Bridgeport?
No. I'm so clear on that one. I don't think casinos add anything to a town. I'm also against the whole pot business, so if you want to go there, we can go there as well. I'm actually the attorney for a concern that's trying to shut down the pot business in the state. So I don't see that vices are the way that we make a family-friendly city, that we follow the values that, brought us this far. And I keep saying that. That's why I stand for, old-time Judeo-Christian values. I guess the one question I have for everyone else is, when does the left go too far? It's a question that no one seems to have an answer for. But, we see what's going on college campuses today. I'm spouting, I'm sorry. I can just hand it off to the next person. Not interested in the casino. Thank you.
Mrs. Daniels?
Thank you. I think here's the problem to me with this question. I know, we've been talking about casinos for many, many years. And it's my understanding that we can't, because the way the contract with Fox was in Mohegan, it doesn't allow us. I think the bigger issue is, I think what the question was about, we need jobs and development in our city. We need economic growth, and we need to get Bridgeporters working, but not low wage, but livable wages, so they can afford and prosper and take care of their city. And I've been knocking on doors since, the past couple of months, and every time I'm knocking on doors, there's a Mr. Daniels, where are the jobs? People either leaving the city, or the jobs that are here, they're coming from out of town. So here's what I plan to. I work here in Housatonic. I'm an instructor here. We have an amazing advanced manufacturing program right downstairs. why isn't there a big partnership with the city of Bridgeport and an institution of higher learning to say, when those students or those young people leave this school, your city is gonna wrap around you and make sure you get the resources, and we're gonna rally for jobs and manufacturing to come back to Bridgeport. And that's just not happening. I think what's missing in this city, we need a mayor or administration that's gonna be a relentless cheerleader, an advocate and champion, say Bridgeport is open for business. And that's something I look forward to doing, is working with University of Bridgeport, Housatonic Community College, Sacred Heart, Fairfield University. We're not scarce in our resources, they're just not misguided and there's no vision.
Yeah, let me clarify for Mr. Daniels. That program, we do partner with Housatonic on. It provides second chance opportunities, and working with employers, the curriculum is centered around the 100% chance or the 100% opportunity for placement of a job once they come through the program. So it's a spectacular program and one that should be modeled by other cities. But we could do more and we need to do more. The question was centered around the allure of casinos, which we've all kind of experienced it. I've done it in my term with the ideas of that coming here with large increases of revenue so that we could cut taxes, God bless us, and the addition of jobs and the glitz. We've steered away from that. We focused on in sports terms, you say the blocking and tackling of moving the city forward with steady progress on all the things that are important, as well as job creation, as well as tax-based growth, having helped the line on taxes every year as something that I've committed to, while at the same time showing that we can balance a budget with sound fiscal management. We do need to do more in the way as we can. We're competing with cities and towns, Norwalk included, every day for businesses, for companies, and for jobs. And we need to continue to fight that battle every day. I don't think casinos at the beginning or the end of the day in 2023 is our answer. If you want to go, you can go up to Mohegan Sun. I think we got some of the best things they offer with the amphitheater. A lot of people would go up there for the shows. Now they don't have to go up there for the shows. They can come to Bridgeport and see the entertainment, the music that they like right here, and hopefully that's considered a great attraction for the city as well.
All right, Mr. Gomes?
Thank you. Without a doubt, no, do not support casino coming here. As a candidate who knocked on over 3,000 doors and obtained signature to qualify for the Democratic primary, we received a lot of notice and voices from our constituents. Yes, there is no sector industry here. And what we have to do is work with the Economic Development Office in Hartford, as well as Advanced Connecticut, to understand what sectors of jobs or industries are looking to come to Connecticut and bring them to Bridgeport. As your mayor, I would work with the nonprofit and other organizations here to make sure that we build that infrastructure. Because what's happening when they come to Hartford, they get derailed to Stamford, to Norwalk, to other cities. This is a city that we don't even have a hotel. We talk about doing a balanced budget. How can you do a balanced budget if it's increased by over 10 million a year and your mill rate, you reduce it when the property values are high? So you could say that you balance the budget. Each mill rate represents 5.7 million. That means if I reduce your mill rate by 10 points, I have to reduce your budget by 57 million in order to be operationally effective. It makes sense for all of us. That's not happening. So we have to be real when we talk about numbers, and what we're talking about is the interpretation and the impact that it has on our city. The majority of the people here, over a large percentage, work outside Bridgeport. I'm looking to bring new industry, whether it's the biotech, artificial intelligence, medical manufacturing, hospitality. In my economic development, I propose that I will grow this city by 4,000 jobs the first year when we talk about different industry, to include 1,000 in the hospitality. And I will pull plants that will make sense for us. There will be no tax incentive to the selected few. And everyone that invests here has to put their equal share, because we are the residents of Bridgeport and it's pinching our pocket. Thank you.
Thank you. Any rebuttal or extension on this one?
I will, just, respectfully to the mayor, I don't think that we are competing with Norwalk and Stanford. Stanford and Norwalk is working and we're not. As mayor, the mayor is the CEO of the city, and it's important that people have trust in who's leading this city. as your mayor, I will deliver that trust so we can have businesses knocking on our door saying, I want to come to Bridgeport. That is not happening.
All right, anything further? All right.
Yeah, I do. I mean, you
Okay,
can't say
rebuttal.
that. The Fillmore just announced a $20 million new facility in the city of Bridgeport. I don't know if that's knocking on the door or knocking the door down. But if you want me to go on, I will, but I think she limited my time. But that's just the most recent. As far as fiscal stability, talk to Wall Street. They just gave us an A+ rating and a positive outlook. So I don't know whose math is better, one of the candidates here or Wall Street's, but we go by audited surpluses, and that's what we have this year. Thank you.
Okay, yeah.
I challenge to bring a forensic audit to the city and see how stable our financial records are. I will bring that in the first 45 days under my administration. We need a forensic audit to understand the condition. This city is almost $815 million in bankrupt. Thank you.
All right, Mr. Hertz, anything further? All right, at this point, since the league has promised the candidates they would get out of here within an hour, I want to thank the audience and everybody who organized this for the wonderful questions they've submitted. We had questions on charter revisions, on jobs, on the schools that we just never got to, and they're good. At this point, the candidates have 2-minute closing statements. I'm afraid no rebuttals. And by luck of the draw, Mr. Daniels, you'll go first.
Bridgeport, we are at a crossroads right now. Our very future is at stake. I've watched and I've seen everything that you have seen. I am embarrassed and I am ashamed of what is going on in our city. I am a proud father of 2. Bridgeport has been my home for more than 30 years. I work in Connecticut's 6th largest city, over 90,000 people. I know how to get things done. I oversee the city's health department, human services department, and the library system. I'm responsible for over 100 union employees and my budget is $12 million. I can get things happening. On day 1, I'll be ready to lead our city. Enough is enough. We have a choice. And I'm asking for your vote and your support. I will not disappoint us. And it's time to have leadership that will finally put people first. Not developers, not politics, but the people of Bridgeport deserve a mayor who's going to put them first. My name is Lamont Daniels, and I approve this message.
Thank you. Mr. Gannon.
Thank you. And I want to thank the league. I want to thank the Bridgeport Education Fund and all that came here, I think, to see us all and to listen. I agree in so many ways that this is critical. November 7th, this Tuesday, people need to come out and vote in a way they haven't done in numbers we haven't seen in a long time. It's a critical election for the future of the city of Bridgeport. Everything that kind of is easy to take for granted and to kind of put into these, sideways shots about where we are. Sure, we're far from a perfect city or a perfect administration, but we're fighters for what's good for the people of the city of Bridgeport, the city and the people that I love and have worked hard and will continue to do the best job that I can. But it's not going to happen unless we come out and vote on November 7th. We want to see the progress on the important things, whether it's what we're seeing happening now with new superintendent of schools and education, a new police chief in the police department. As we heard from Wall Street, the fiscal stability allows us to hold the line on taxes and see development come, albeit with criticism and ideas that you should listen to, and I think you should evaluate. I think at the end of the day, we need good, solid experience that gets the job done. I've looked back through my career and seen some of the challenges the city has faced. We've overcome because we've worked together, we've come together. This is that time again. November 7th is time to come out and vote. We'll have the opportunity to move forward from there on the things that we've talked about here and those that we haven't, the things that are important to everyone in every neighborhood. I love this job. I love this city. I think these are all great people, but they don't have the experience that you can put the confidence in to ensure that the progress that we kind of take for granted or could take for granted right now is going to continue. Thank you for the opportunity to talk to you today. See you on November 7th. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Mr. Gomes.
Thank you. My name is John Gomes and I reside in Bridgeport. I want to say to all of you, we could stand here or sit here and give you all the words and put grams or modules behind us to tell you how we're going to improve your lives. but you're the only judgment that matters here. You're living the consequences. I've been here for 43 years. Came here as a young boy, no mother, no father. Thankful to the education system for even speaking English to you because I didn't know English when I came here. But yeah, I went through the school system, graduated, worked 12 years in corporate America, obtained my master's in international business, worked in the Caribbean, managed hundreds of millions of dollars, came to work inside city government. Very honest to do what I had to do. And I was let go. It's okay, because I didn't compromise. I left with my integrity, and I sit here with my integrity because I'm trying to do what's best for Bridgeport. We could look back 30-something years of certain people in this state what has led the city. Look at what you've achieved. You haven't. What I'm asking is for one chance, 4 years. I'm humbly asking for 4 years. I have the experience, the knowledge, the academic background. I am a reflection of you. My 4 daughters went to the school system. I'm a small business owner here. I invested in Bridgeport. I care about Bridgeport. And my words are real. Once I'm elected, you're gonna find me in the same barbershop, same bodega, same corner store, same church, because I am Bridgeport. I feel Bridgeport. I speak 5 languages. I could go in any corner of Bridgeport and resemble our people. Thank you, God bless. And I look forward for you to select me on line D1 as your next mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Hertz.
Thank you. I'm new to Bridgeport. I bought a business and it came with a house 3 years ago. So I don't have the experience in Bridgeport. I also don't have the obligations in Bridgeport, which means that I am not beholden to the blue machine that has been running this place for so long. I am not steeped in the oobleck that has this town with the reputation that it has. You keep speaking about the reputation of the town. I think the best thing we can do for the town is to show out overwhelmingly for the Republican candidate. Then we will have a Republican against a Democratic city council, and we'll be fighting with each other. We'll be locking horns to make sure that things are above board, that they're clean, that the other side is honest, that the people who are running this town are actually the most competent people to be running this town, not the people who washed the right hands at the right time somewhere in the past. I'm a lawyer. Yeah, I get things back in a week from the town clerk in Stratford or in Fairfield or in Norwalk. When I send something to the town clerk here, a deed, it can be months. In the middle of the pandemic, 6 months to get a deed back from the town clerk. So, yeah, I think new blood sometimes with new vision, with a certain set of values that I don't think the left shares, might make a difference here. Family, supporting fathers so that we have children growing up in strong families and bringing them the jobs they need. And, you know, I thank you, Mayor Ganem, for the work you've done. And I thank you, Mr. Gomes, you were also part of this, and everyone here. There's so much love in this city. There really is. It's so cool. It's like you get out there with the people. You get out there with the people, and they're just like, they're amazing. Like, how can you not fall in love with this city? It's that simple. So thank you. Have a good evening.
David, nice end.
On behalf of the league, our thanks to the candidates, our thanks to the audience. Ladies and gentlemen, it's up to you.
It's up to you.
Thank you so much.
Yes, this is a shameless plug because I will be putting it on our website.
Can you stick around for a one-on-one?
Sure.
Okay, thanks. Come on.